Hi, I'm Chrissy from Hutzel House of Music, and I'm here today to talk to you about easy subplans for elementary music. Whether you're sick yourself, you have a professional development to attend or another meeting coming up, or someone in your house has a doctor's appointment you need to go to, you're going to need some subplans. In today's session, we will talk about no technology music subplans, low technology music subplans, technology-based music subplans, and what to include in written subplans. Let's start with no technology music subplans. We have several ideas of categories of items you can prepare. These would include worksheets, storybook lessons, write the room activities, bingo games, and using well-known games and songs. When you're thinking about no technology music subplans, here's a few tips for you. First, it's great to have a collection of worksheets and books to choose from in a pinch. If you have them ready to go when you start to feel sick out of the blue, you will be very thankful. Consider making enough copies of some of your preferred worksheets to get through the day ahead of time, like before the first day of school, so you have them ready to go in case of an emergency. I also suggest creating a shared digital folder with a reliable colleague who can print things out for you if you are absent unexpectedly. For me, it's the art teacher. She and I have each other's backs. Also make sure if you are doing a printed lesson plan and your copier at school requires a special code to access it, that you leave that information for your sub. Let's take a look at a few different worksheets that we could choose to leave for a sub. One of my favorites to leave are these music and math coloring worksheets. In each of the segments of the worksheet, there is a math equation in musical notes that students need to figure out to know what color to use. These are available in seasonal packs for spring, fall, and winter, an emojis pack, and also this new specials themed pack with pictures from music, art, and PE. There are several variations of each worksheet included so that you can differentiate for your students' needs. Some where they can choose which colors to use, some where the number of beats that each type of note gets is provided or not provided. Another fun thing that kids like to do with subs is dice activities. It makes things feel like a game, and that makes it more fun, and you're less likely to have pushback from the students. You can focus these on a variety of skills, and you can easily make your own for whatever skill it is that you want your students to be working on. I've got a couple examples here that I'll share from TPT. This first one is a rhythm composition dice activity. In this activity, students just need a dice and a pencil, and they start off by writing their own rhythm in each of 6 squares. Then they will roll the dice, and whatever number it shows, that is the rhythm that they put onto their composition page. With this, it comes with several different levels. So you can see in the example here, it says to just use a quarter rest, a pair of eighth notes, a single quarter note, and a half note. But there are other examples that use more notes and also gives you the option to use different time signatures. So you can really customize this and use the same lesson plan for multiple grade levels. A student in 3rd grade could do a simpler version than a student in 5th grade. Another example is this Music Undercover from Noteworthy by Jen. In this activity, students will roll a dice and cover up squares on their board that match the note name that is given on the card that matches the dice. So she has different versions for lines, spaces, or a mix of both, and different levels. If you see in the picture here, level 1 shows the name of the note and the picture of what it looks like. Level 2 only says the name of the note, so they need to be able to read the note all on their own to play. This is another favorite of my students. I often will put this on the back of another worksheet so that students who finish one activity early can work on this when they're done. And this is Composition Squares from Kelly at Rhythmically Yours. In this activity, it's based on the simple game that has a bunch of dots and each player takes a turn connecting 2 dots trying to build a square. But in this case, when you complete a square, you put that rhythm down in your composition, and the first player to complete 4 beats wins. There are also several levels included in this game. Here's a freebie alert for you. This soundscape composition activity is a great way for students to become creative and put together their own music with just body percussion. All they need for this is scissors, or if you felt like it, you could cut some up ahead of time so that everyone could use their own squares to complete their work. In this activity, each of the squares has a different sound that a student can make with just their body, and they lay them out in the grid to create a composition. There's even squares where they can make up their own sounds. Students could perform these for each other or work in small groups as well. The hardest time to be out of your classroom is when you have a performance coming up. So I really like this idea of doing the Enjoy the Show cards. These are little cards that students can create to help the audience members know what is expected of them when they are sitting in an audience. Students create these, and then these can be either stuffed in a program or laid out on chairs. The audience loves it. They get little pictures made by the kids that can be a souvenir, and the kids are excited to see who got their artwork. Storybooks are a great option for subs. Sub can read to the kids can read to themselves or to each other. You can leave a pile that they can choose from, or you can select a certain book and have an activity to go along with it. A great resource to build your library in your music classroom is the Ultimate Music Ed book list from Mrs. Stoffer's Music Room. There's a link for that in the handout, and that list is completely free. It is a giant spreadsheet of books that are great for the music classroom that you can search by different topics, and it's a very useful tool. One of my favorite series of books is the Old Lady books. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly, swallowed some snow. There's a bunch of them, and they all are add-on books. A fun activity that you could add on to this is adding body percussion. So in this activity, there are cards for each of the characters in the story, and then cards for different types of body percussion. Students will pair these up, and then as you're reading, they can perform the body percussion with each of the characters every time it comes up, so it becomes increasingly difficult as the story goes on. Another favorite to go along with the Old Lady books are these puppets. These are from Floatin' Down the River and Etsy. You can get the old lady in each of 3 different skin tones, and then she has small puppets that go with several of the books available in her store. The puppet's mouth actually opens like a little pocket, and then inside the dress there's a see-through section where you can see everything that old lady eats. Another favorite for leaving for a sub is Zin, 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 a Violin. This book highlights the instruments of the orchestra as well as the ensemble counting names like solo, duo, trio. At the end of the story, I like to extend it by adding a movement activity. After a story, the kids really have some wiggles that they need to get out, so I will have them have 2 separate piles of cards, one with the ensemble counting words and one with different actions. So we'll pick one from each pile, and they might have to do a quintet of tiptoes. So they would have to tiptoe 5 times, and they work through the pile to get to everything and create different numbers of movements for each movement. Another nice thing with this is that there was a Reading Rainbow episode dedicated to Zin, 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 a Violin, and you can find the video for that online. It's also available on a DVD, so that's another way to reinforce and keep a lesson moving with a sub. Write the room activities are a nice idea for subs because it allows students to be moving around and interacting socially. The sub doesn't really have to lead anything. They can work more on just general classroom management. This example shows a Veterans Day or Memorial Day military themed Write the Room. There are also some others that I'll show for you here. I would suggest hanging up these signs around the room before you are out, and then that way it's all ready to go when the sub comes in. You might want to leave them a key to where everything is hidden though. One of the things that I like to do with Write the Rooms is have different levels for different students. So in this example, you can see that the students were working on Recorder, and I do Recorder in grades 3 through 6. So I had several grade levels working on this at the same time, and each of the different colored cards was for a different grade level. You could also differentiate for students within the same class by making different colors for different students. They don't even know that they're being differentiated. You can just say, well, this is so we know you're not copying someone else's work. So it's a great way to do that without pointing it out to them. Um, they're able to continue working on the skill that we are working on, so recorders in this case, without actually having recorders out with a sub. Here's another free. Sorry about that. My cat Dash wanted to say hi. Here's another freebie alert. This is a great Write the Room for younger students that goes along with Peter and the Wolf. Students would move around the room to find the characters based on the picture and then work on copying the word that says what each character is. Bingo games are another great way to plan for a sub. For materials, you would need bingo chips, but you can make those out of anything. You can have just some scrap paper that kids tear up before they play, and that also fills a little bit of time. The benefits of bingo, everyone knows how to play bingo. If you want to choose to offer prizes, you certainly can, but if you do, make sure that the sub knows where they are and knows the expectation. But really, prizes aren't necessary. I like this musical instrument bingo because it actually works with testing the kids' knowledge of the instruments. They see a picture of the instrument and have to find the word on their bingo card. This comes with printable cards that you can hold up to keep it no tech, but if you wanted to, you could also use the PDF version that has 5 different files in it that has the cards in different orders so you can play multiple games. This also includes a sub-friendly color card with the instruments labeled in case they don't know what they are. Musical symbols is great for the older students as well. These have some more advanced symbols, so I would not suggest using this with the younger classes. This also has sub-friendly calling pieces that have all the pictures and labels put together. For the younger kids, this nursery rhyme bingo is absolutely adorable from Ginny's Music Space. The students find the images that go with classic nursery rhymes, and then you can sing or say the rhymes after you've found them on the board. This includes full color pages or black and white that students could color in before they play. Lots of students know lots of songs and games. We all play songs and games in our classrooms, and so using a subtime to review some of the favorites is a great way to fill that time and for the students to still be making music. You can lay out the cards that show the names of the songs and activities that kids know how to play, and let someone toss a beanbag onto the cards to see which one they'll do next. So let's look at low technology music subplans. We can do things like beanbag games, listening activities, and dance activities. Some tips for low technology music subplans. I am so sorry, he's now been locked out of the room, so hopefully we don't have any meowing and banging on the door. Low technology music subplans, we want to make sure that we are setting up everyone for success. So I would assume that low technology means using something like a CD player or something that you can use to share recorded music. If you do choose to do that, make sure to leave instructions on how to use it, even if it seems extremely simple to you. Train a few students in each class how to use each of those tools also so that they can help. Another great thing to do is to ask one of your colleagues to check in with your sub before students arrive to make sure that they know how to use everything. One of my favorite things and my students' favorite things for me to leave, especially with the younger kids, is beanbag games. I have some of these CDs and they have songs that give direct instructions in the lyrics of what to do with your beanbag. The kids love to play with their beanbags and they know that if they aren't behaving, they won't get to continue. All you need is a CD player and some beanbags to do these, and it's great to play over and over again. I also like to play these with my students at the beginning of the year, especially with like kindergarten and first grade. It makes them think that music is always going to be a fun place to go. And it also means that they already know how to play these and what to expect when I use them for a sub. An easy thing to do at any time for any grade level is listening to music and drawing. You can do recorded music and have students draw the mood that they hear in the music, have them draw what it makes them think of, create a playlist of music that has a strong sense of mood and with different moods represented in different selections. Then students can draw whatever it is that comes to their mind. If you want to be more focused on what they're listening for, listening glyphs are a great way to work with subs and get kids still listening to music. In a listening glyph, there will be a key that tells students what to draw or how to color based on what they hear. For example, color the leaves green if there are singers or yellow if there are no singers. So following those instructions, students would be able to color the picture the correct way based on what they hear. Dance activities are another fun thing to do with subs, and we know that if kids are getting their wiggles out, they're less likely to get in trouble. So for this activity, you could use a computer with a projector, or you could print out cards that have the pose pictures on them and use a sound system like a CD player to play other recorded music. In this resource, the Wooden Figure Freeze, there are several videos included that each plays 5 different examples of contrasting styles of music for students to move to. In between each excerpt, they freeze to match the pose on the screen. One of my favorite activities to watch the little kids do is glue dancing from Noteworthy by Jen. In this activity, you use recorded music of your choice, and you can either project or hold up printed pictures of students who are glued down in one spot. So if it said glue down 1 foot, that 1 foot would stay in place, but the rest of your body would be dancing. There are some silly ones in there too. When I see the one that says stick your nose to the floor, I say whoops and go past that one a little bit quicker, but it does get some good giggles out. Let's take a look at technology-based music subplans. Many of us were teaching during COVID, so we can look at our COVID distance learning lessons. We have 4 corners games, interactive whiteboard activities, digital choice boards, and students using devices, so 1-to-1, meaning 1 computer to 1 student. Here are some tips for technology-based music subplans. Utilize your learning management system. So that would be Schoology or Google Classroom or whatever it is that you use in your school to leave any links or digital assignments that you want the students to complete. Communicate with the homeroom teachers or the media center, whoever you need to talk to make sure that if students need to bring something like a device or headphones, that they know about it ahead of time so they can come prepared to music. If you have a class set of headphones or extra headphones for those that are lost or broken, make sure that the sub and the students know where those are located, and also leave some cleaning wipes to disinfect them between uses. I also have little disposable ear covers that I put on so I can throw those out between uses as well. I also like to leave several copies of a worksheet for students who are not following the expectations when using technology. They can lose that technology privilege and do a worksheet instead that can be collected for a grade. Another idea is to consider making a quick video of yourself telling the students what the expectations are, maybe demonstrating where to go to find the links they need to use or how to complete an assignment so that the sub can just play that and then the students can get to work. That way everybody knows that the expectations have been set by you and everyone can follow those the same way. As I said before, many of us were teachers during the COVID-19 pandemic and had to do a lot of virtual teaching. If you created videos during your virtual teaching or online lessons, you can use those again even though you're back in school. These are especially great for subs because they can let the students do their work and they don't need to have a lot of musical knowledge to guide them. If you didn't create these yourself or aren't happy with what you have, Go ahead and search YouTube. Tons of teachers posted their lessons on YouTube, and you can find now video lessons for so many different subjects with just a quick search. I also recommend that you embed these in one place. So whatever may work for you in your school could be different, but I would say put it in your learning management system, or create a Google slideshow with just one link where everything is together, or a class website where everything is together. So students go one place and then just click links from there. Four corners is a big hit in my classroom. Students start in the middle of the room and have a short amount of time to move to a corner, which are labeled with the numbers 1 through 4 in the room. Once the students have split up, 4 items appear up on the screen and a sound is played. Whichever item matches the sound that was played, that corner is out and the students sit back down. It's a game of chance, but it's also a good review of knowledge and skills. They identify which corner is out before they learn if they were correct. There are lots of 4-corner games on YouTube, but the downside is that that the students memorize these patterns fairly quickly, so you really can only play them once. You can go back again, weeks later, but you can't play it twice in a row. Silio Music has a huge selection of 4-corners games available on TPT. So I would definitely check those out if you're looking for more different options. I would put the signs up at the beginning of the year in each of the corners because it's not only a great activity for subs, but also a fun thing to do if you just have a few extra minutes left at the end of class. This pasta or composer game is a lot of fun too. In this activity, students would see a word up on the screen or on the printed out card, and they have to guess if it's the name of a pasta or the name of a composer. If it's the name of the composer, they learn some interesting facts about that composer after they see that word. Virtual field trips are another great idea. You can search YouTube for virtual field trips, but if you do that, make sure you watch the entire thing to make sure that it's appropriate for your students. We can never just trust what we find on YouTube without giving a thorough investigation ourselves. This Peter and the Wolf virtual field trip is another great activity from Beth's music classroom, and it is a great way to guide students through the story of Peter and the Wolf and learn about the instruments and the characters and do movement, all sorts of fun things included here. Here's a freebie for you. Check out this Wakelet from Sally's Sea of Songs. She has a great collection of video-based subplans, but then has prompted activities after each video, so it's not just sitting and watching videos the whole time. If you're not familiar with Wakelet, you should go back to last year's virtual conference and look up Sally's video from that. She did a great presentation on how to use Wakelet. Digital choice boards are a great way to get kids to have a little voice and choice in the class and keep things organized. If you look in your handout, there is a blog post on how to create these, so I won't get into the technical aspects here. But you would basically set up a Google slideshow and put images on the first slide that are linked to slides that come up later in the presentation. Then include a back button on all the next slides so you can come back to the front page to move forward again. The images can be screenshots that you get from the activity or just something that represents the activity. Another great way of using a digital choice board is this Just Dance video, and I've included a link to get a copy of this one for free in the handout. Feel free to make changes if you would like to the songs that are included once you have your own copy, and I will caution you, the Among Us one is very popular, but it also gets the kids running, so it might not be good for some of your bigger classes or in smaller spaces. This Elemental Musical Adventures website is an amazing collection of tools. This was put together by music teacher Kate Bright, and it has 3 different categories that students can choose from, and then tons of options within each of those categories to explore. You can give students free choice to explore all of these on their own, or you can keep them accountable by asking them to review their favorite app as an exit ticket before leaving. Some of the favorites from my students are Bongo Cat, Blob Opera, and Isle of Tune. Boom Learning is another great set of tools that you can use. There's a link to a blog post in the handout that explains how to get started with Boom Learning. There are paid decks and free decks, and there's also paid account and free account. The paid account offers tons of student data, but the free account works just well for me. Finally, I'd like to share about the Music Workshop website. This is a great website that is free. The teacher must register, but once you do, you have access to lots of wonderful lessons with videos and worksheets that kids can do about musical genres, instruments, careers in music, and music from cultures all around the world. So now that we've talked about lots of different ideas, let's just briefly touch on what you should include in your written subplans. I suggest working from a template. I've created a template and included a link for you to get it for free in the handout using Google Drive. It's a Google Docs template. I suggest using a table layout that makes it easy for a sub to find what they need when they need it. And make sure you include things like phone numbers or how to contact other staff members at the office, your schedule, which includes duties and lunch, emergency procedures, technology instructions with logins and passwords, classroom management procedures, activities and procedures, which would be the actual lesson plans. Today we have talked about no technology music subplans, low technology music subplans, technology-based music subplans, and what to include in written subplans. I hope this has given you some good information and that you go into the upcoming school year with a few of these in your pocket, so when you do have that dreaded day that you need to be out, you've got things ready to go. Thank you so much for watching. I would like to invite you to my TPT store. My entire store is 20% off to celebrate this conference, and that sale is good July 20th through 23rd, 2023. Have you been to my Etsy store? Because I've got a sale going on there too. You can use the coupon code RENEW23 to receive 15% off any $20 or more purchased from my Etsy store. This coupon code is also good July 20th through 23rd. But you don't have to shop. I'm also doing a giveaway. Follow the link in your handout for a giveaway to win a set of several of the resources that were featured in this presentation. Entries will be accepted until 8 a.m. Eastern on July 22nd, and the winner will be announced by 10 a.m. Make sure you visit our virtual exhibit hall where you'll find links to some of the best resources the music crew has to offer, along with the PD certificate for attending our conference. And of course, I have special thanks to give. Thank you to the music crew for hosting this conference and for being an amazing group of music teachers. Thank you to the Michigan Kodály educators for sponsoring our sessions to get sketches for Michigan teachers, PD. Thank you to the following teachers for supplying ideas that I could include in this presentation. Noteworthy by Jen, Rhythmically Yours, Mrs. Stauffer's Music Room, Nerdy Music Mama, Ginny's Music Space, Silio Music, Beth's Music Classroom, and Sally's Sea of Songs.